Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/thebarn. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/thebarn.
Hello, I'm Jason Lowry.
And I'm Mark Toti.
And this is the Parkland Podcast.
Thanks for joining us once again. Boy, do we have a big show today.
Oh, my gosh. In this episode, we're going to visit with the candidates in both the St. Francis County District 2 Commissioner's race between David Cater and Michael Barton. We will talk to both candidates for the Circuit Judge race featuring Jerel and Brice Secrest. We're also going to speak with Farmington Police Chief Chris Bullock about crowd control in lieu of recent events. And Paul Williams will join us to preview this year's Big River Chautauqua happening this weekend in Bonne Terre. Plus, we'll talk summer events, sports, our song and album picks, and we'll draw another winner, this time of a warmie, courtesy of Parkland Pharmacy, all for participating in our Parkland Podcast polls. All this and more coming up on this episode of the Parkland Podcast. But first, we need to thank our ever-growing list of sponsors. Oh my gosh, Mark, we have some great businesses again sticking with us and new ones coming aboard.
Yeah, excited about that. We appreciate it. It's an effort to put this on. It's nice. It's the business's way of saying thank you, and we like what you're doing.
Absolutely. We want to thank, in this episode, of course, Parkland Pharmacy. They've been with us since the beginning, as have Nicholson Heating and Air. Also, big thanks to Discover Farmington, to First State Community Bank, your Farmington locations. New on the show this week, we have Save a Lot of the Parkland. That's DeSoto, Bonne Terre, Park Hills, and Farmington. We also welcome back again John Robinson at Pettis Chrysler Automotive, the Farmington Water Park, and a new business starting next month, Mark.
Heimberger Construction will be jumping on board, and we appreciate that very much. Heimberger Construction has been a big part of this community for a whole lot of years. You probably have driven past a Heimberger Construction built building.
Yeah.
If you get out and about, and we'll tell you more about that when they join on board coming up in August.
All right. So our past episode 6 was all filmed at the Deloge Chamber of Commerce office at the Pancakes for the Candidates event. I envisioned you and I having an opportunity to flip pancakes, but we were busy that day, man.
Not too busy to eat pancakes.
No, not too busy to eat, though, yeah. And they were great. But again, big thanks to Sherry Henderson. Our goal when we started this podcast was to talk to everybody in a contested race in St. Francis County, and Sherry helped us reach that goal just like that.
She was a big help to us. It was a busy day for yours truly, because as soon as that was over, I got to go home for a couple of hours. Then I went out to Mineral Area College, the new technology center, for a United Way fundraiser called Couples Night Out. It was a huge success. We had close to 30 tables filled, and final numbers still coming in as of this time, as of record time, but we're hoping for between $10,000 and $12,000 raised for the United Way.
Wow, that's great. And all that money stays here locally and helps out the different agencies that the United Way Awards grants to every year. And Mark, I know we're a little partial. You're a current board member. I was a past board member. I think the United Way is the best way to have your charitable dollars go the farthest because everything stays here in St. Francis County.
Yes, and you're going to be hearing more from the United Way. We plan on having some folks from the United Way out in future episodes of the podcast to talk about Dine Out for the United Way, Girls Night Out, and of course, bell ringing. But that's down the road. We've got a lot to get through this episode.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the polls. This is something we put out there once we got all of the interviews for St. Francis County Sheriff posted. We wanted to find out what you thought about this race. On, I guess, our record time on Friday, as it stands right now, Jeff Kreitz has 42% of the votes, followed by Tim Harris with 30%, Jason Crump with 21%, and the incumbent Dan Bullock with 7%. Now, we know and we understand that this is not how the voting is going to go on August 6th, but I think it's a great indicator, and every 7 days, Facebook lets you post another poll. So coming up over the weekend, you'll be able to go back and check out a new poll, and we'll keep doing these until Election Day hits. Looking at these numbers, I'm a little surprised. We mentioned Dan Bullock's numbers so low, but he's not a Facebook candidate. A lot of, I would say, and don't mean to say anything derogatory about Dan Bullock's people that support him, but let's face it, Facebook is not a big thing in those people's lives. They still vote, though.
His is a different crowd.
Yeah. But I don't know. I know when we spoke to Kevin Engler as we started the very first episode of the podcast, everybody is super interested in this race. And I know he told us he was thinking maybe 30% is the magic number to get the victory here.
Could very well be. It'll be interesting to see what happens, how the votes split out between the four different candidates.
And you will be the first to know if you watch our election night coverage. We're going to do it on our Facebook page, Parkland Podcast Facebook page, which is the perfect companion for the Parkland Podcast. And that's where our coverage will be on election night. Mark and I will be hanging out in the Weber Road facility at Election Central. And as soon as those returns come in, we'll be telling you all about them. I think what's going to happen is we'll get those absentees, those early voting numbers in first, and then it's a bit of a waiting game after that.
Yeah, the absentees come in pretty quick. And it all depends on a lot of different things like the weather and how fast they get the votes back in as well, because they still hand deliver them even though they're through the computer as well. If all goes well, we should have final results, fingers crossed, by about 9 o'clock or so. But they're expecting a huge turnout, 65, maybe 70%.
Wow.
So we'll see.
We will see, and we'll be all over it, all over Facebook, and letting you know what's happening.
You don't have to get out of your house tonight. Just tune in to the podcast.
That's what I would totally do. How about a totally awesome radio story? Do you have a good one for us this week, sir?
We're going to talk football with this one. I went to Potosi for a high school football game there. Big fan of the Trojans, but they got killed that night. They lost by about 30 points.
Okay.
So that's not the awesome part of the story.
Good. We just lost our Potosi audience.
Driving home 11 o'clock Friday night on Highway 8 in the station vehicle, no less, I get pulled over by the highway patrol.
Uh-oh.
And the highway patrolman says, "Do you know how fast you were going?" And the wise guy in me wanted to say, well, I kind of thought that was your job, but I didn't say that. I said, no, not really. He goes, you were going 70 in a 55. I said, oh, man. He goes, can I see your license? So I gave him my driver's license, and he said, this is outdated.
Oh, no.
I said, you're kidding. He goes, no, this has been outdated by 3 years.
Whoa.
It's like, oh, man. So anyway, that happens. He goes, now let me see your insurance. So we reach into the glove box of the station vehicle, and I grab the insurance card, and I give it to him, and he goes, This is outdated too.
Oh, no.
And about that time, I start to think of people I can call at 11:15 on a Friday night to come get me out of jail, because I knew I was going to go to jail for sure. And then we found the right insurance card, and luckily it had not been outdated. So anyway, the policeman looks at me and he says, well, I can forgive you. Oh, no. Then he goes, I'm from Potosi, too, by the way. How'd the Trojans do today? So then I had to tell the cop who just pulled me over and told me my driver's license was outdated that his team got killed by 30 points. I thought, this is not going to be a good night for me. But anyway, he goes, I can let you go for 70 and a 55. But he goes, there's no way I can't give you a ticket for having a license, a driver's license that's 3 years outdated. So
he let you go, and I guess, was there somebody with you that could drive the vehicle back? Or?
Oh, he told me I could drive it back.
Oh, wow.
Still, and we got back, and I had to go retake the driver's test.
Huh?
And I had to take the driving test and the written test. The written test was tough, too. But the guy that took me on the driver's test, he's a retired highway patrolman. He took me all around. I passed everything except he took a point off for my parallel parking. And he goes, well, you're going to pass. No problem. I just have one question for you. And I didn't know this guy from Adam. And I said, okay, what's that? And he looked at me and he goes, are you going to talk about me on the radio? I said, did I pass? He goes, yeah. And I said, yes, I will. And it'll all be good. So,
when's your birthday?
folks, the lesson to learn about this is make sure your driver's license is always current.
Absolutely. And that is your totally awesome radio story for this episode of the Parkland Podcast.
It's the memories made during a weekend with the girls, a family adventure, or a Sunday stroll in historic downtown. At First State Community Bank, we have a strong passion for small business owners and the students and families who live, work, and play here. Our passion for them runs deep because this is our community too. First State Community Bank. Success starts here.
News time on the Parkland Podcast, presented by First State Community Bank. Locally owned, locally operated. Farmington has 3 locations. They're downtown, on Washington and Karsh, and at the Maple Valley Center. Introducing First State Community Bank's digital banking platform. Perfect for those of you that are always on the go. Managing your finances has never been easier. You can access your accounts anytime, anywhere with just a few taps. First State Community Bank is where you and I bank, and we love the service.
Oh, and I love the digital banking, too. Mm-hmm. Craig Sutherland talked to me into getting that app on my phone, and now I look at my account information daily.
Does it make you sad sometimes?
It doesn't make me happy.
See for yourself at First State Community Bank. They are leading the way in digital banking. First State Community Bank, success starts here. Member FDIC, online at fscb.com. What is going on in news, Mark Toti?
Well, beginning this coming week, southbound U.S. Route 67 traffic will be traveling through the newly constructed roundabout to continue southbound on U.S. Route 67. It'll be open for traffic heading south on 67. The traffic shift is the next step in the process to complete the entire roundabout. Upon completion, the roundabout will also be open to traffic between I-55 and U.S. Route 67.
Purcell Tire and Rubber Company is expanding in Potosi, and the company is making a $5.3 million investment that will create 10 new jobs at that facility in the Potosi Industrial Park. They're going to have a groundbreaking ceremony on August 13th at 10 a.m. to help celebrate that expansion.
The June monthly job report is out for the state of Missouri. Non-farm payroll increased by 14,700 jobs in June. Seasonal adjusted unemployment, 95,700 jobs increased over the past year. 3.7, the unemployment rate this year.
And that's actually up 0.7 of a percentage point. Public meeting is going to take place at the Missouri Mine State Historic Site in Park Hills, and that's going to happen on August 3rd. It'll be from 5 to 6 o'clock that evening, and they're going to be discussing the site, Missouri Geological Studies Historic Mine Sites Waste Chat Piles, and they're going to focus on 3 sites in particular: the River Mines Chat Pile, the Bonne Terre Chat Pile, and the National Mines Chat Pile. They're hoping that this study will yield results that they'll be able to share with the public in August of 2026. But again, they're inviting folks to give their input at this public meeting, which will be held at the Missouri State Historic Mine Site August 3rd from 5 until 6 o'clock.
Well, it was about a month and a half ago. Country Days in Farmington took place. Some final numbers are starting to come in. According to information provided to us by the Chamber of Commerce, there were 27,800 visits by 22,100 people in 2024, 26,700 visits by 21,200 people last year. The majority of visitors were from St. Francis County. The average household income of attendees, $67,000.
So a big impact for the area felt with Farmington Country Days. Want to take a minute to congratulate a couple of retirees. We had 2 local superintendents supervise their last days on June 30th, and those are West County Superintendent Kevin Kaufman and North County Superintendent Katie Bachman. Both are now retired. Levi Rawson taking over at West County, Brandon Gregory taking over at North County.
Kevin and Katie were wonderful to work with in our years in radio, and I know Levi and Brandon will do a great job. You can talk to Levi about sports, talk to Brandon about music.
Yes. Oh, and Oakland Raiders football.
And Oakland Raiders football.
But yeah, definitely music, and South Park too. He really likes South Park.
And
so have fun with that.
And finally, Twins Barbecue is going to be moving to the old Homestead location in Bonne Terre. They are apparently adding a buffet. So if you're a fan of Twins Barbecue, that's good news for you. And well, we hope we haven't seen the last of Homestead.
Right. So Homestead announced, I guess, a couple of months ago that they were not going to move back into their previous location because of, I guess, them and the tenant, or the owner of the building, not seeing eye to eye. Twins Barbecue apparently has worked that out, and I guess we're looking the next couple of months or so as an open date for Twins Barbecue. So should be really, really, really nice. So there you go. You are now informed. You know everything that is happening around the area, and that's our news segment courtesy of First State Community Bank. First State Community Bank online at fscb.com. And again, they sponsor our news here on the podcast.
Imagine a home where every season feels just right. At Nicholson Heating and Air in Farmington, we turn that dream into your everyday reality. From frosty winters to sizzling summers, our expert team ensures your home stays perfect. Plus, with our easy financing options, comfort is more affordable than ever. Don't wait. Visit callnicholson.com or stop by our Farmington location today. Nicholson Heating and Air, where your comfort is our command.
Let's do some birthdays and anniversaries. They are brought to you by Nicholson Heating and Air. Fast, reliable, and transparent. That's the Nicholson way. They are the home of the 1-hour appointment, and you can call them today at 756-3599. Who are the birthdays for Monday, July 22nd?
We have some great birthdays to pass along to you. My good friend Heather Garner wanted to wish her mom, Pam Brooks, a happy birthday. You will see Pam volunteering her time at the Methodist Church in Farmington. You will also see her at the Farmington Food Pantry. That's a birthday wish going out from your husband, Buzz, from Heather and the grandkids, your whole family. Pam is a wonderful person. They do serve a free meal up, by the way, every Wednesday at the Methodist Church in Farmington. She wanted me to mention that as well.
Great.
My longtime buddy, Pat Gegg, celebrates a birthday on Monday. Now, Pat and I were on a bowling team at one point for a couple of years, and we called him Pat the Wonder Bowler because we wondered why he even bothered to bowl. He is the only guy in the history of my bowling career that managed to have a score of 10 after 3 frames.
Okay.
So 2 gutter balls, a strike, and 2 more gutter balls.
Right. That's your flat 10.
He was Pat the Wonder Bowler.
Where'd you guys bowl back in the day? Was it the Farmington?
Bowl Air Lanes, right there on Karsh and KREI Boulevard.
Now it's a storage unit place,
now
right?
It's a storage unit place.
Did it change to something else?
It may have.
Oh, I don't know. Anyways, go ahead.
It's been a while now since I've been that way.
Yeah.
Jerel. Here is a young lady who has taught at St. Paul Lutheran School for 50 years.
Wow.
She is wonderful.
And she's kindergarten?
Yeah, she teaches the little ones.
Wow.
Her son, Andy, is the principal at St. Paul Lutheran High School. But Sharon is just an amazing human being. So, Sharon, happy birthday to you. And Leona Harper. I got to know her when she worked at CC's Pizzas several years ago. Her and her sister once brought me over Christmas cookies.
Ooh, nice.
4 years back to the radio station. So, Leona, happy birthday to you.
What about for Tuesday, July 23rd?
Well, our good buddy Dick Womack celebrates a birthday on Tuesday.
Dick, I'm trying, man. I hope this audio's better. And I know last week's was horrible, and I'm so sorry, Dick.
Dick will come down and he'll set us straight.
He will.
On that one. Happy birthday wishes to you, Dick, from your wife and your kids, Ashley Sissom. Married to David. Happy birthday to you, young lady.
Hey, good job. Ashley does a great job with those commercials, too.
She is
has a great
wonderful,
voice.
Yeah.
She doesn't yell like David does. David just gets in there and he...
Okay, I'll buy
it, I promise.
Andrea Ritter. She lives in the Kansas City area. She used to work at Spokes Pub and Grill for a bunch of years back in the day. Andrea, we keep in touch with each other on Facebook. Happy birthday to you. John Haggerty, happy birthday wishes to you, young man. And a gal I went to high school with, Denise Winship Mayer, celebrating a birthday on Tuesday. Trust me when I say Denise has aged much better than I have.
Let's talk about birthdays on Wednesday, July 24th. What do you have for that day?
Well, a gal who was the band teacher at Farmington High School for a bunch of years, Linda Hook, celebrates a birthday on Wednesday. Now, I believe her son-in-law is the band director in Farmington. Happy birthday wishes to you, Linda. Sarah Faulkner, she probably called in as many birthdays as anybody during my years at J98. It's her birthday on Wednesday. Happy birthday to you. Katie Holtz, happy birthday wishes to you, young lady. She also goes to St. Paul Lutheran Church, as does a young lady named Caroline Keevan. She's Caroline McClanahan, just got married in the past year. Happy birthday to you from your mom, your sister, your dad, your grandma and grandpa, and all your family. She worked at Cold Jack's for several years before she finished her college career.
Birthdays I have Jennifer Maloney, Farmington Animal Hospital right there on Karsh. That's a great place to go. That's where we send Sir Meows a lot and Rachel the dog. Former Froggy 96 personality, Mr. David Ward, with a birthday on Wednesday. Happy birthday to him.
I believe he's also done some football games for J98 as well.
That's right, yes. He jumped ships. And one of the funniest things I ever saw happen in a high school press box involved him. We were at Farmington High School getting ready to call a Farmington football game, and it was hot in the press box, as it typically is. And so he's trying to get this glass out of the window so we got a little better air function, and we have, better for our camera because we were streaming that game as well. And so he's like, oh, you just do this. And he starts bending on that glass, and it snaps right in his hand. And we all just kind of, pause for a second, and then we're like, ah! But it was hilarious. And luckily, John Bacon was in a really good mood that night, and everything was okay. So happy birthday to David. And then one more birthday I want to throw out there. Ann DeBold, Ann DeBeautiful, Ann DeBold, and she worked at J98 as well, right?
Bunch of years she worked at J98. Yeah.
And then KFMO, B104 for many, many years as well. Ann is about one of the sweetest people you will ever meet, a big fan of the podcast, and her birthday is Wednesday.
And we're a big fan of Ann.
Yeah. What about Thursday, July 25th?
Thursday, birthdays. Gotta wish my sister-in-law Terry Toti a happy birthday. Her and her husband and their family. They're on vacation in South Carolina. She is wonderful. She is such a good sister-in-law. She is tied for first place as my favorite sister-in-law.
Wow.
Yeah, with my other two sister-in-laws.
Oh, okay.
We want to say happy birthday to her. Her and my brother have like 11 grandkids.
Really? Wow.
11 grandkids,
Great.
and just about all of them are little blonde-haired beauties. So happy birthday to you, Terry. My brother was a college football quarterback, and my sister-in-law was a college cheerleader, so you know those kids are going to be good looking.
Absolutely, and probably pretty athletic, too.
And pretty athletic. Steve Thomas, lifetime Lutheran of the Year at St. Paul Lutheran Church in Farmington. Happy birthday wishes to you. Thomas plastering, along with his dad and his brother John for a bunch of years. Steve, happy birthday wishes to you from Debbie, your kids and grandkids, and somebody I know you want to really talk a lot about, Andrea Eaton.
Oh, Mrs. Eaton. She would, for little class incentives in her class, she would give the kids Eaton bucks, and they would have like her picture on like a little kind of Monopoly-looking dollar, and the kids could use them to buy stuff. We were cleaning out one of the boys' old folders the other day, and we found about $30 worth of Eaton bucks, and I tried to take them to First State Community Bank, and they said, no, that's not going to work.
Well, now, wait a minute. Isn't she married to a First State Community?
I know. That's why I took them there. I figured they would, you know.
Damn.
No, I'm just kidding about taking them to the bank. We did find a bunch of them. Mrs. Eaton, great teacher at St. Joe's for a long time, and retired, and her and Jim are just enjoying life right now, I think.
She's a big-time walker, too. I see her at St. Joe State Park hiking the trails.
How about Friday, July 26th? Who are your birthday celebrators?
Friday, Crystal Hudson does a wonderful job at Twin Oaks Winery.
Yeah.
You got to love Twin Oaks. Man, they have some of the best music you'll ever hear. And the thing I really appreciate about it is they started early. So, you know, you don't have to wait till 8 o'clock, which is way past my bedtime, to get out and celebrate. They do a lot of afternoon events at Twin Oaks, and Crystal Hudson, she does a fabulous job. And an old high school buddy of mine, Bill Cox, celebrates a birthday. He's living in the Branson-Springfield area now. He was a really good wrestler in high school, at Eureka High School back in the day. Class of 76 rules.
I was one. Sorry. Friday, July 26th. I want to wish happy birthday today to one of my high school buddies, Mr. TJ Cagle. TJ, happy birthday to you. And Casey Richardson. You might see his food truck around Casey's Cooking. His birthday is on Friday. What about Saturday birthdays, July 27th?
Well, speaking of good food, Dwayne Rosner celebrates a birthday on Saturday. Dwayne, we missed you guys.
Yeah.
We really do.
We do.
And Michael Capayas, he's one of the world-famous Capayas guys. Used to work at J98, a part-timer, really good. He was really good at what he did. We wish he could come back and be a part of the podcast. Michael, happy birthday to you.
I wish you would have flunked, Michael, so I would have had you for 1 year at BKTV. Instead, I just heard about all the awesome stuff that you and TJ did, and just don't worry about it. They did it all. But no, Michael, happy birthday to you, buddy. You're a great young man. Sunday, July 28th, what you got there?
Well, Kathy Finley, I was best man at her wedding to Bill Finley, who's from Bonne Terre. Kathy lived in Farmington at the time. They're living outside of Little Rock, Arkansas now. So, Kathy, happy birthday wishes to you. I'm guessing 29,
probably
the age again today.
Yeah.
Stacy Hensley, we talked about Twin Oaks Winery. She really does a great job in helping to organize events at Twin Oaks. So, Stacy, happy birthday Sunday to you. I'm going to go with 29 as well for you. Sherry Buzenbark, married to Todd.
Yeah.
Buzenbark Flooring, happy birthday wishes to you. And our good friend Sherry Pratt, who does wonderful work, not just at Midwest Sports Center, but she also does great jobs for law enforcement.
Yes.
Backstoppers. She's very active in backstoppers.
Helps out with Shop with the Cop too, and just all. And if it's and it doesn't have to be law enforcement. If it's a good cause, Sherry's all about it.
Absolutely.
Sherry's all about it. Happy birthday, Sherry. Peggy Robinson celebrating a birthday today. One of the best singers around the area. Peggy does such a nice job. Happy birthday to you. Hope you and the hubby have a great day planned for Sunday. And then Mrs. Bailey Sipp, English teacher at Farmington High School, celebrating a birthday on Sunday.
Happy birthday.
All right, those are your birthdays, anniversaries brought to you by Nicholson Heating and Air. Schedule anytime, anywhere online at callnicholson.com.
Farmington, Missouri, your destination for a perfect weekend getaway. Dine in at one of our quality restaurants or visit one of our surrounding wineries. Farmington offers a variety of parks and other recreational leisure time activities. See some sights, have some fun, and go wherever your heart takes you. Sounds like a lot of fun, so get a room and stay a while. All this and more awaits you just 60 miles south of St. Louis. Discover Farmington today.
Let's check out the events page. That's presented by Discover Farmington, more than you ever imagined. DiscoverFarmingtonMo.com allows you to find out more about entertainment, dining, outdoor activities, wineries, and more. DiscoverFarmingtonMo.com proudly presents Blues, Brews, and Barbecues September 20th and 21st.
And breaking news, we have the lineup for Blues, Brews, and Barbecue on Friday, September 20th. Mojo Rising will be performing. They've been there in years past. Now, they go by a couple of different names. So
that's the Doors cover band, right?
It's the Mojo Rising. They are not they do music by the Doors, but they are not a Doors cover band. But they are really, it's a two-man band. They do a great job.
Wow.
And then the Blue Moon Blues Band will perform after that. On Saturday, at 11:30, the Brad Allen Band will perform, followed by the Soulard Blues.
Oh, yeah, I've heard them before. They're great.
Now, I'm just guessing on a pronunciation at this time, but either Casimir Taylor's Doc Dixon will be performing, and then it'll be followed by Marquise Knox, and then a guy that was here a couple of years ago and was really, really good, Albert Castiglia, will wrap things up for Blues, Brews, and Barbecue, being put on by Discover Farmington.
That's September 20th and 21st in downtown Farmington. Here's some events to keep in mind on July 23rd. KFMO B104 night at the Farmington Water Park, 6:30 that evening. Make a donation at the door. That gets you in, and all the money raised goes to the St. Francis County Backstoppers.
Good job, KFMO B104. Chautauqua, July 25th through the 27th. Dwight Eisenhower, Jackie Cochran, and Winston, we have nothing to fear but fear itself, Churchill. And I don't think that was Winston Churchill, but close enough.
Yeah, close enough. And again, we'll hear a lot more about Chautauqua coming up with Paul Williams a little bit later on in the podcast. Let's talk about Christmas in July. That is happening on the 25th at the Farmington Water Park, and that's an all-day event from 11 to 6. Bring in a canned good, get 50 cents off your admission, and Santa Claus will be there.
Santa Claus in a Speedo, folks. You don't want to miss it. Twilight Sip and Swim is back for another year at the Farmington Water Park, July 26th from 7 to 10 p.m. 21 and older event, no outside food or drinks. Bailey Joe's. Oh, it's going to be good if Bailey Joe's is there, serving alcoholic drinks for purchase. Concession stands open to purchase non-alcoholic drinks and snacks.
And it's $10 per person if you pre-register, $15 at the door. That just sounds awesome. Drink in your hand, just like taking it easy in the lazy river, man. That's a great idea. I'm really glad that the water park is doing this. Lots of golfers and Elks will be in the area on August 3rd and 4th for the wait, I'm supposed to let you read that. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You want me to go ahead and finish it, or do you?
You pretty much
okay.
Let the cat out of the bag.
A Missouri Elks State Golf Tournament is going to be taking place August 3rd and 4th, and I'll talk about this next one, and then I'll bequeath it back over to you. The annual Baby Boomer Show happening August 2nd and 3rd. Tickets still remain to Friday night, Saturday afternoon. I believe Saturday night is sold out. Contact the Farmington Civic Center box office to get tickets to that amazing show.
And if you weren't able to get tickets for Baby Boomers, there's still more music to take advantage of. Rex Manning Day will perform August 2nd in downtown Farmington, part of a big block party there. I know the guy in Rex Manning, Casey Reeves. He is an amazing musician, so that's pretty good music.
Oh, that's the name of the band? Is Rex Manning Day?
Yeah, he's got several different. He does a Tom Petty tribute as well. He's got a Tom Petty tribute band that's really good. I've seen him play as part of that as well. So
I thought it was like a special day for Rex Manning.
It could be. I don't know.
Wow. Okay. Well, very good. That just clears. See, you learn so much. Even the hosts learn on the Parkland podcast. Washington County Fair happening at the Washington County Fairgrounds. That's right there on the west side of Potosi. And the fair will be happening August 7th through the 10th. Try the fish sandwich.
And if you like arts and crafts, make sure you go to Jour de Fête in St. Genevieve, August 10th through the 11th.
That's always a big event. And a couple of blood drives to tell you about on July 25th. The Esther United Methodist Church has a blood drive from 1 until 5. And on the 31st of July, the Farmington American Legion Hall has one from 10 to 2.
If you have something for our calendar, please send it to us. The only thing we would ask, since we record this on a weekly basis, if you can, get it to us a couple of weeks ahead of time. Just contact Jason, contact myself. You can get to us through our Facebook page as well, but we'd love to promote your event. And
Paul Williams gives his mailing address later on in the podcast, too. Maybe send it to him, and then he'll make sure we get it.
Sure.
Okay, there we go. Events page brought to you by Discover Farmington. It's more than you've ever imagined. Find out about local events and even book a wedding or day trip through their great website. DiscoverFarmingtonMo.com proudly presents Blues, Brews, and Barbecues on September 20th and 21st. Hey, we welcome in Save-A-Lots of the Parkland as a sponsor of the Parkland podcast. And these are the locations in Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Park Hills, and Farmington. Save-A-Lot is a great place to shop, and I think what really sets them apart is the fact they have butchers in every store. So that meat you're purchasing has been packaged, has been butchered, if you will, right there on location.
And they'll cut to order for you.
Oh, yeah,
too,
absolutely.
As a matter of fact. And one thing I've heard probably more than anyone else is they say, where's the best meat in town? I get Save-A-Lot as the answer all the time.
And now the 5 for $24.99 deal is bigger and better, giving you more options and bigger portions to feed that hungry family. Save-A-Lots in Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Park Hills, and Farmington, a proud community member and a proud sponsor of the Parkland podcast.
Thanks, Clint. We appreciate doing business with you.
Parkland Pharmacy is out to prove that local independent pharmacy is alive and well. We work hard at giving you an excellent experience every time you come to see us. We love what we do, and we would love to take care of you. There's no need to be frustrated with your health care. If you're tired of what your pharmacy is not doing for you, then stop waiting in line and come see us today. We have 6 locations across Southeast Missouri, so Google us to find the store nearest you or visit parklandrx.com. Parkland Pharmacy is a local pharmacy at its finest.
John Robinson is selling cars at Pettis Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. I guess he said, I don't want to be sales manager anymore. I want to get back on the sales floor. And he's out there now. He is ready to make sure you get in a vehicle that not only you can afford, but you'll enjoy.
Yeah, John has literally sold thousands of vehicles to thousands of people over 30-some-odd years in the business. And I know because I'm one of them. Sold me a Cherokee back in the day. And
I remember that Cherokee.
Oh, yeah. I love the vehicle, but more importantly, I love the service I got from John. And that's one of the things that really sets him apart. As you get the idea when you deal with John Robinson that you're not just a number, not just somebody to add to his commission totals. He really cares about getting you the right vehicle for you, for your family, for your budget, for your needs. So we can definitely recommend him.
Absolutely. Give him a call. He's back from vacation now. 701-8002, 701-8002. That's John Robinson at Pettis Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Let's focus now on the St. Francis County Commissioner District 2 race. And we're joined now by the incumbent, David Cater. Thank you so much for being on the Parkland podcast.
Well, thank you guys, man. I just thought you guys were like not needing anything to do with Dave Cater. And then it's like, man, going way back with these two. Man, I've been so proud of you guys. This is awesome. I've been watching your podcast, and I have enjoyed immensely.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
When it comes to experience, David, you've got it, whether it be at the municipal level or the county level. Tell us about that.
Well, my whole I say my public service career started actually in Toti-ly, and I was on the fire department. I just joined the fire department and got on there couple years, and then moved to Deloge and joined that fire department, and then got on the Chamber of Commerce and all the other activities that you could ever get involved in, and Jason knows as a young age when he was doing it. And Mark, I haven't known you as long as I've known Jason, but I remember the Prince of Cantwell. He was out there and he would help with everything we had and the things that I went to. So hope this I'm trying to keep this all in going in my timeline here, but you do that as a young age, and you can see from that public service is where you want to be, and that's where I see you guys all the time. That knowing what you guys do is great, and so after that, a couple years or a whole bunch of years, I think of 12 years worth on the chamber, I said. It's time to do something, and I knew they had an opening in the alderman spot, and Greg Camp, the mayor at the time, because. Rest in peace. The mayor had passed away. Gene, that was the mayor. Greg took his spot, and
Fritchie?
So what's that?
Fritchie?
No, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say his name, and he passed away. Gene Bray.
Gene
Bray.
That's right, yes.
And so Greg Camp took his spot, and Greg said, "Hey, would you like to be as an alderman?" And I said, "Well, they already got 2 firefighters on there, and you know how when they do the conflict of interest, I didn't want to say. I said I will run, but." He appointed Mrs. Bray. I went and talked to her about hey, nothing against you. I just want to get involved. I want to do something. I think this is my next step. So got involved in 2001 as an alderman. And in 2005, Greg decided to jump ship, retire from the mayor's world. And I said, I guess it's my time. So I ran and was mayor up until, 4 years ago. And then this spot... I ran against the incumbent and won, and I've been doing this for 4 years, and I just love this type of work. It's just what we do, a lot, and it's no agenda that I have. I've never been one of those to run. I want my alley paved, or I want this, this road fixed, or whatever. So. Just the love of the people and the love of our county, and I was like, man, I can go from just Deloge to the whole county and just bring everybody together. And I hope that was answering your question, but that's where we are, and I love what we do.
What are your goals if reelected? What are some things that you would like to see happen at the county level?
Well, we've got a lot of things heading in the right direction. There's we have a couple offices that are open. And they're of course not open, but they're running for different spots. So that means like the sheriff's race. I know everybody knows the sheriff's race. That's why they come to these big things, because the sheriff's race, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just little Dave, and we actually have to work side by side with the sheriff's department. Sure. So there's a lot of things, not a lot of things. There's some things there I'd like to see some things a little different, and I think any of those candidates that come in are going to be good to work with, right? So even the current, we're talking in like negotiations of we need to do this or we need to do that or whatever else. So not saying anything about any of them, but I think we'll be able to work with whoever comes in. We have to, first of all. So a couple of things there. I'd like to see us move in a certain direction. We have the Berry Road Bridge. How long has it been out? And for safety reasons, we got to get those kids off of the highway. Those buses, they will be able, when we get the bridge built, they'll be able to drop 3 bus routes, and that's crossing the highway on those. So we've got to get them off the highway. That Berry Road Bridge is very needs to, and we've sent out the bid. The state has picked. I think you guys were talking to Chris Crocker. You're going to. We have picked. They have picked because it's if you're using federal and state money. They get to say so, and who gets it? We don't get to say so. So this bridge will start soon. Cedar Run Bridge. It's going to be, and that's one that, like I said, the Berry Road Bridge I want to see. I'd love to be in here another term to see that thing finished to completion. So when the Cedar Run Bridge is a low water crossing, we don't get any BRO funds, and we could talk about BRO funds all day long. You guys probably familiar, but it comes from the state. They give you money. You don't get any of that for low water crossing. So we're at 100% out of our budget for that bridge. So it was kind of hard to get it going, but we got it going, and it started. They laid the deck. I went down and watched how they lay those 28,000 pounds a piece. I'm like, oh my gosh. So laying them with a crane, that was awesome. Bridge beams. See, I get excited when we talk about this stuff. I'm ramped up. There's others as infrastructure. We're working on, ways of expanding our money for infrastructure. Because right now, when you got your budget and you're good for, 15 miles, 20 miles of road, but we've got 450 miles of road that we've got to take care of. So there's got to be a way to do that. So we're getting a little, how can you say it? Tweaking, and I hate to say tweaking, but we're getting the numbers, in our way, and hopefully be able to do that. We've got a great road and bridge crew, and they do a great job with our infrastructure. If you've been around our county compared to some other counties, it's like you're driving on some really nice stuff. Don't tell everybody, because in this job you don't make everybody happy, but we're trying, and we're going to do our best, and I would love to continue. I'd love to get your vote and continue that next 4 years.
Just real quick.
Yes.
St. Francis County is growing by leaps and bounds. That brings its own set of problems, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. We are yours. Now, you may not know this, but we're either the smallest Class 1 county or right there real close. So we're like, and if you want to say, we're the ones that are on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to some financial help and stuff, but we've gotten a lot of federal and state money this last 4 years. We got $13 million on that ARPA grant, and we were able to double that with matching funds, and we've never ever been able to do that before. Even here in the municipality, we never could take federal money and match it with the state money that we got, or the state money and match it with the federal money. So it comes with a large amount of problems, because you're trying to stay up with those Class 1 counties and trying to do what's best for the county as a whole. So it does bring its own challenges, but that's what we're in there for, and that's why we're able, and meeting with the other commissioners from around the CMO. I go to that thing every month. It's the CMO commissioners meeting, and you find out that we're not the only ones with all these problems. But we're trying. Just call me, and I will listen to you at least.
How do we find out more about your campaign?
Man, you can call me at 573-701-6006, or you can get on my campaign, Cater for Commissioner 2024, or ask my wife.
That's what I always do, too. David Cater, running for District 2 Commissioner. Appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you very much, guys. And I appreciate what you guys are doing.
First State Community Bank, the friendly first. Their First State Community Bank. Remember those jingles? Did you write that?
Yeah. Never saw a dime from it.
Never saw a dime from it, man. All three Farmington locations, as far as the downtown location, the main hub, you have the location at Washington and Karsh. You have the Maple Valley location. There's a location inside of Farmington High School as well. So they have you covered in the city of Farmington. Online banking, business banking. We opened our business checking account there at First State Community Bank, and works out great too, because we're both regular customers as well.
Yeah, when I moved here in 1983, that was my bank. The first day I got here, it still is today. Matt Sebastian, Andy Buchanan, Craig Sutherland, John Dinkler, Tanya Thomas, Greg Allen. Don't want to leave Greg.
Oh, man, Greg Allen, absolutely.
Great guy. Kelly Legan's been there forever today. Lisa Sumter, one of the best people you'll ever meet. Those are just a few of the faces and the people that you will work with when you go to First State Community Bank, Farmington.
FSCB.com, member FDIC, and equal housing lender. Farmington Water Park and Splash Pad are perfect for your summer fun. The Splash Pad, by the way, is open every day, 9 to 10:30, and totally free. So you need to check that out if you got little kids that would really enjoy that. And then, of course, the water park open daily from 11 to 6. $7.50 for kids 3 to 11, $7.50 for kids 62 and up, and everybody else is $8.50. The kids 2 and under are free. Always a good time at the Farmington Water Park.
Always a lot of fun. You talk about family fun. Businesses. Time's running out, but if you have some employees that have just done fabulous for you this year, churches, you've got youth groups you want to keep entertained. The Farmington Water Park will rent out the facility to you and your organization. Just give them a call, and they will hook you up.
756-0900, Farmington Water Park and Splash Pad. We're back on the Parkland podcast, and we're going to continue our coverage for the St. Francis County Commissioner District 2 race. And we're joined now by Michael Barton. Michael,
thank you.
Good to meet you. Thanks
Very
so much
nice
for
to meet you,
joining us.
Jason. So nice to be here with you.
Well, I guess first off, tell us a little bit about yourself and your experiences that ultimately have led you to run for this position.
Well, sure. I love this area. I'm from this area. I didn't live here for a long time, but I came back home in 2015 to pastor the church when my dad was stepping down after some health issues. I was raised in the big town of River Mines, if you remember where that was. It was incorporated into Park Hills back then. I went to Central High School until my sophomore year when I was switched to by my grandparents to Christian education. The plan was I was going to go right into seminary, but that didn't happen. But I eventually did go back. Right now I'm on the Bismarck Chamber of Commerce. I have an elected position on the Bismarck School Board, and I also pastor the Bismarck Assembly of God along with my wonderful wife, Tara.
You've got a pretty full plate there. What made you
Yes.
decide I want to take on the role of Associate Commissioner?
Well, I'm always looking for a place where I can be helpful. And there was a local group of businessmen and women, Christian businessmen and women, who had approached me about some issues that they saw in the county. Our county does have some issues, and I do not lay that at the doorstep of one man. I do believe that sometimes we can be in a position for too long. Elected positions are not positions that were ever meant to be lifelong careers. They're meant to be for service for a period, and then we move on and let somebody with new ideas come in. And so basically I saw a need, and I'm trying to fulfill that need.
How has school board experience prepared you for what could be down the road for you if the vote?
Sure. In a lot of ways, actually, dealing with tax dollars, tax abatements, we're dealing with one of those right now. The school board race was like this race on a much smaller scale just there in town, so it prepared me for the door knocking and the grueling campaign schedule that we've been keeping. But I got a lot of insight into municipal government, also through the chamber. In Bismarck, we all just kind of work together. It's a small community, so it's been instrumental in kind of igniting that desire in me to be in civic service and to try to provide help where I can. And when I'm asked to help, I always want to be there to do what I can, if I can do anything at all.
Now you talked about some issues that you think need to be addressed. What are some of those issues?
Some of the things we'd like to do, I don't think we can talk about anything in this county until we talk about the drug problem. One of the things that is closest and dearest to my heart is, well, I'll just be honest, I have two brothers today who are in graves. Because of drugs that they bought in this county, that were carried in this county, manufactured in this county, and taken in this county. And I want to work closely with the sheriff, whoever he is at that point. We want to form a civilian law enforcement task force across every town. We want to help the local municipalities, local cities, to be able to enforce their codes on derelict properties, because that lowers property values, raises crime, and we will never get businesses to invest here until we lower that crime. We're kind of known as a drug county. I hate to say that because I love this county, and I hate to see what it has become. Another thing that's important to us that we're going to try to get past, if I can sell it to the other two members of the commission and I can sell it to the people, is we would like to remove the personal property tax on people who are of retirement age on fixed incomes. I don't think it's fair that you're still paying taxes on a house that you've owned for 50 years and paid for 50 years. And one thing my grandma always said to me when my grandpa died and she was on a very fixed income, she goes, I've owned this house forever, but it's not really mine, because at any point, if I miss one payment, they can come and take it away, and I just don't feel like that's fair. So that's one of the things that we would like to do. And tax and spend is not a policy that I adhere to. I think taxes should be low. I think that we can cut a lot of government spending. I think if we can open up the jail, our county jail, to the federal system, we'll get a lot more money in there and possibly can pull some of those funds in other places and help lower taxes, because I don't know if you put gas in your car lately or if you've been to the grocery store, you can see people are hurting, and it's the people in our area, the middle class people in rural America, who are hurting the worst. And I want to try to find ways at a local level that we can keep their money in their pockets.
How do we find out more about your campaign?
You can go to my Facebook page. I'm a completely self-funded campaign. 99% self-funded. I've had some people who were adamant about donating, but if you go to our Facebook page, you can find all of our information on there, all of our policies on there. And the best way to find out what I'm going to do is vote for me on August 6th and just watch me go.
They can always come to church this weekend.
And they could come to church this weekend. We'd welcome them with open arms. You can also listen to me on 99.5 on Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock.
Hey, great.
All right. God bless you all. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you.
It's been an honor to meet you all.
All right.
Thank you so
Michael
much.
Barton, he is running for District 2 Commissioner in St. Francis County.
Thank you.
John Robinson is selling cars at Pettis Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. I guess he said, I don't want to be sales manager anymore. I want to get back on the sales floor. And he's out there now. He is ready to make sure you get in a vehicle that not only you can afford, but you'll enjoy.
Yeah, John has literally sold thousands of vehicles to thousands of people over 30 some odd years in the business. And I know because I'm one of them. Sold me a Cherokee back in the day. And
I remember that Cherokee.
oh, yeah. I love the vehicle, but more importantly, I love the service I got from John. And that's one of the things that really sets him apart. Is you get the idea when you deal with John Robinson that you're not just a number, not just somebody to add to his commission totals. He really cares about getting you the right vehicle for you, for your family, for your budget, for your needs. So we can definitely recommend him.
Absolutely. Give him a call. He's back from vacation now. 701-8002, 701-8002. That's John Robinson at Pettis Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Let's continue our coverage of the August 6th primary. And now we're going to focus on the Circuit Judge Division 1 race. And we have Jerel joining us. Thanks so much for taking some time for the Parkland podcast. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome.
Tell us a bit about your position as judge. As you were getting ready to do this interview, you said, the more people don't hear about me, that's actually a good thing, right?
Yeah, well, I'm the circuit judge, so I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I hear everything from like a driving while revoked, if someone's been driving while revoked like a lot of times, and all the way up to first degree murder. So if you never see me or never hear my name, that's probably a very good thing. So.
Talk about your experience. Obviously, you've put together quite an impressive resume.
Sure. Before I became an attorney, before the first job I got after I graduated law school was with Ed Martin. So he was trying to become the first Republican Attorney General in 20 years, and that helped lay the groundwork for the first Republican Attorney General in over 20 years in Josh Hawley. And from there, I went and worked for a corporation as a corporate attorney. So I dealt with the complex matters of the FDA and international health agencies. And then I became the circuit judge. I was the first Republican ever to get elected circuit judge in the 24th Circuit, and the one of two of the original Republicans out of St. Genevieve ever to serve in the courthouse. So that's a bit about who I am.
When you talk to a state representative, for example, and you ask about priorities, it's easy for them because they can talk about jobs, they can talk about crime, they can talk about the homeless situation. It's a little different for a judge, isn't it?
Of course. As a judge, I can't really make promises or pledges or saying I'm going to change things. It would be unethical for me to do so. The main thing I can just talk about is, doing my job, upholding the law and upholding the Constitution. So.
Talk about experience on the bench or in a courtroom that you feel like has strengthened you as an individual and helped get you to where you are today.
Well, I think the COVID situation kind of shaped all of us in a lot of ways. Keeping the courthouse open was really important. I know a lot of circuits weren't able to do that, but at Division 1 we were able to. So we were able to have our law days, have our juvenile days, make sure that cases kept going. We even did jury trials during the COVID situation. So in St. Francis County specifically, we did jury selection in the Armory. So in a normal situation, we would have everyone go to the courthouse. We have like 80 to 100 people, but there we had everyone spread out in the Armory. And then when we picked our jury, we came back to the courthouse. And normally you would have 12 people there in the jury box, right next to each other, but instead we had to have everyone out there. So just finding ways to do things within the regulations which have been given to us was quite challenging, and I'm glad they were able to do that.
Talk about the transition from being an attorney to getting behind the bench and being a judge, was that kind of an eye-opener for you?
It was an eye-opener. It was a bit of a transition because my law was corporate, so going from corporate to primary criminal was a little bit different. Thankfully, the laws were a little more simpler and less opaque because the FDA and international health agencies, they tell you one thing, but then one regulator says, oh, we want to do this way. And then when another guy comes in, he says, oh, no, we wanted you to do it that way. So it's just very easy when, you have what is murder, all the elements just sitting right there in black and white. So that was a little nice, but probably the biggest challenge for me was just to realize that, up in the corporate world, we have to do time schedules. We have to do everything on time, and it's a little slower down here in the circuit level.
Final message for voters. Why should they put a check mark by your name?
Sure. So I'm Judge Poore. I'm the first Republican ever to get elected circuit judge, and this is a Republican primary, so obviously. Also, I am the son of an auto mechanic, the grandson of a pastor, the great-grandson of a Missouri farmer. My mother was the very first person on her side of the family ever to get a college degree. I'm the first man on my father's side of the family ever to get a college degree. So I really appreciate your support on August 6th. Thank you.
How do people find out more about your campaign?
Go to poorforjudge.com, and you can also find us on Facebook. Thank you.
Jerel, nice to meet you today. Good luck with your campaign.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
You guys have a lovely day.
It's the memories made during a weekend with the girls, a family adventure, or a Sunday stroll in historic downtown. At First State Community Bank, we have a strong passion for small business owners and the students and families who live, work, and play here. Our passion for them runs deep because this is our community too. First State Community Bank. Success starts here.
Let's take a second, talk about Nicholson Heating and Air. Fast, reliable, transparent. That's the Nicholson way. And of course, they're fantastic at what they do. They have the technology, they have the best trained employees. But I think what separates Nicholson Heating and Air with other companies is the fact that they are out in the community and help in any way they can.
They sure do. I see Dustin just about everywhere I go, and I get involved in a few things, and Dustin is always there. If not, somebody from his company is. The Nicholson name is out there because they're throwing their support behind it. Love it when area businesses give back to the community, and they're one of the best.
And make sure you follow them on Facebook, too. They got some cool promotions going on right now with Spot the Truck, so that's really neat. So check that out, Nicholson Heating and Air. You can schedule anytime, anywhere, online at callnicholson.com. We're going to talk to another candidate for the Circuit Judge Division 1 position, and that is Brice Secrest of Park Hills. And Brice, I know you've had a very extensive career in law, in judging, and tell us all about it. Give us that summary of everything you've done.
So, well, after I graduated law school, shortly after I graduated law school, I moved back to Park Hills and started my own firm, or went into practice with John Williams at the time. So we had our private firm there, Williams & Secrest in Park Hills. I practiced in that private practice for about 14 years before I was first appointed as judge. During that 14-year period, I was representing clients from almost every type of case, and mostly in the 24th Judicial Circuit, which is St. Francis County, St. Genevieve County, Washington County, and Madison County, and did everything from criminal cases, civil, jury trials in criminal and civil cases, lots of family cases, probate, estate planning, things that weren't in court too. But and I spent a lot of time representing families and children as a guardian ad litem, both in domestic cases, family cases, and in juvenile cases where the kids have been removed from their home by Children's Division for one reason or another. Then in 2021, Joe Goff Jr. left, that created a vacancy in the Division III position for St. Francis County Associate Circuit Judge, and I was appointed by Governor Mike Parson at that time, and then I had to run for election 2 years ago in 2022, and won that election uncontested, and that is still the job I'm doing today, but now I'm running for Circuit Judge Division I for the 24th Circuit that covers all 4 of those counties. And as a circuit judge, the work that you do is a little bit different. The circuit judges handle the end process of all of the criminal cases, whereas right now I deal with the beginning process of every criminal case in St. Francis County. And as a circuit judge, you deal with the trial stage of the felonies, criminal cases, a lot of the jury level type of civil cases, and then juvenile cases are shared between our 2 circuit judges.
Brice, when you think about Brice Secrest, you think about that last name. It's certainly one of the more well-known names in this community.
That is a wonderful thing that my grandparents and parents left for me, was a name that I think I could be proud of. And I think it's important too that a judge is connected with the community that they're in. And my family's been here for 70 years is when Granddad first moved here. And of course he was the coach out at the college for, seemed to be like forever, but it's forever ago now since he retired. And Grady was a school teacher. My parents had businesses and were very involved in the community as I was growing up. My brother and sister both have their families live here in this community. And growing up too, of course, I grew up at Flat River and graduated from Central High School, but I went to Mineral Area College. And growing up playing sports in this area, you've got friends and teammates that you play with from Potosi and St. Genevieve and Fredericktown and all over the circuit. So I feel like the circuit is my community, and the biggest reason that I want to continue to be a judge at the circuit level is because I really believe that as a judge, you can affect your community in a positive way. Not just by the way that you handle each case that's in front of you, but you have the opportunity as a judge to help kind of bring people together. You see needs in the community that maybe everybody else isn't seeing. And I think that you could use that position to try to help make the whole community better by bringing people together and trying to address some of those problems that you see in the community. Ideally, hopefully, to keep people out of the court system would be my goal.
Yes. If they never have to come before you, that's a good thing.
That's a wonderful thing.
Lastly, how can people find out more about your campaign?
So I have I'm on Facebook, Brice Secrest for Judge. I have a website, secrestforjudge.com, and or reach out to me through any of those. I would actually encourage people, I believe I have the right experience to be the person for this job, but it's hard to talk about what you do as a judge or because you really can't promise anything about what you'll do, except that you'll be fair, you'll follow the law, uphold the Constitution, and those types of things. And I will do those. I do them now. I will continue to do those as circuit judge. But people don't see you work as a judge either. So it's hard for people to have an understanding of whether you're doing a good job or a bad job or what you're doing. I would encourage people that aren't familiar with the court system, talk to people that work in the court system, talk to attorneys, people that work at the courthouse, law enforcement, people that deal with the court system, and see how I'm doing. I think I've created a very good relationship with everybody that I work with, and I have the respect. I think that I'm somebody that they want to have their cases tried in front of.
Brice, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that's Brice Secrest. He is a candidate for Circuit Judge Division I, joining us on the Parkland Podcast.
Imagine a home where every season feels just right. At Nicholson Heating and Air in Farmington, we turn that dream into your everyday reality. From frosty winters to sizzling summers, our expert team ensures your home stays perfect. Plus, with our easy financing options, comfort is more affordable than ever. Don't wait. Visit callnicholson.com or stop by our Farmington location today. Nicholson Heating and Air, where your comfort is our command.
Discover Farmington, more than you ever imagined. What is Discover Farmington? Discover Farmington is an organization that does promotions for Farmington and the surrounding areas, and it's all housed on their website, discoverfarmingtonmo.com, and that's where you go to find out about entertainment, dining, outdoor activities, the wineries. You can even schedule your wedding or book a day trip on the website. And they always have some great shows and great music and great entertainment always on the horizon.
You know, in some towns you have a big event, and 6 months later you have another big event. Not with Discover Farmington. They're consistently putting on events, a wide variety of events, too, from bluegrass festivals to a big Rex Manning Day coming up on Friday. I want to give a shout-out to Kristen White with the city of Farmington. She kind of helps ramrod all these things with Discover Farmington. She has been wonderful to work with.
Oh, yeah.
Kristen, thank you so much.
DiscoverFarmingtonMo.com proudly presents Blues, Brews, and Barbecues. That's happening September 20th and 21st in downtown Farmington. Back on the Parkland podcast now, and we are joined by the Chief of Police for the city of Farmington. Chris Bullock is with us here at the barn. Thanks so much for coming in to speak with us today, sir. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Chief, for the last couple of weeks now, everybody's been talking still about the attempted assassination on former President Donald Trump. There was a huge crowd in attendance for his speech in Pennsylvania. You are no strangers to big crowds with country days and blues, brews, and barbecue. We wanted to visit with you for a few minutes on the air about how you prepare for big crowds, crowd safety, and preventing a possible shooting or other incident occurring in Farmington like that.
Yeah, I don't think there's a foolproof plan for anything like that because you never know what's going to happen. So like, for instance, Country Days, we start our Country Days. It's always the first weekend in June. We always start the process preparing for Country Days about early May. Lieutenant Ryan Barron is my day-to-day guy. He runs the day-to-day operations in the department. We sit down and discuss what we're going to do each day. We prepare like I said, we start early in May with the Country Days event. We have went to a 12-hour shift. My main concern is that I have enough manpower there for anything that would happen. Better to have and not need, and need and not have in that case. So we want to make sure we have enough manpower to cover the crowds that do come in. We work on it for 3 or 4 weeks straight, and right up to the very couple days before, we always find errors. So we set up the event. We go over it again, sometimes 3 times. We just want to make sure we have enough manpower to cover everything.
What's been one of the biggest issues with covering Country Days? Is it more about crowd control once things kind of let out? Is it about during? What's the biggest challenge, I guess, for you?
The biggest challenge is probably, we get the parade, and after the parade we have large crowds of people who walk down the streets to get to Country Days. So now we run the parade one way up Liberty Street. It used to come down and make the circle. Now it's one way Liberty Street up to the high school. So now we only have to worry about one street, but we still have a lot of problems as we close the parade down. We have follow cars that follow the parade on up and through to make sure that all the people are making it safely across the street and making it down to the Country Days events.
So looking at what happened in Pennsylvania, from the outside looking in, obviously you weren't there, but from what you have seen, read, talked about, was everything done the way it should have been done there?
It's really easy to sit back and armchair quarterback something like that because you have a full visual of everything, because by now I've seen almost every video that's out there. I've seen a lot of things. It just seemed to me like the manpower was one issue that they maybe didn't have or didn't have it dispersed properly. That rooftop, I hear it was 130 yards, 140 yards, 150 yards, so we'll say it's somewhere in there. That was really probably a pop shot for him. I mean, if he practiced at all, that would have been a pretty simple shot, depending on what kind of rifle he had, how much training he had prior to. That rooftop should have never been open. That building should have been secured and probably locked down. I know that it's my understanding that the Secret Service was working with the local agencies. I can't remember the county in Butler County, Pennsylvania, I think. And they were supposed to have secured that building, that rooftop. There's still a lot of back and forth on this, and there probably will be for a long time. But the rooftop should have been secured. One of my questions is, why was there not a drone in the air?
Yeah.
Why, I mean, a drone's simple, it's inexpensive. Why was there not a drone in the air watching? It took spectators off the ground to see this guy up on this rooftop and bring attention to the police department or local agency there. That's the way I understand it from the videos I've watched.
And that's another thing I wanted to ask you about, too. People, when they're in a big crowd and they see something suspicious, which obviously people did with the shooter on the roof, don't hesitate to tell law enforcement, right?
Oh, by no means. Yeah, if you see something, you think it's wrong, it probably is wrong. And I tell people that when they to call in. If you see something you think suspicious, it probably is suspicious. If it's odd to you, then it's probably something up. Yeah, probably something going on. Yeah.
I also want to ask you about a presentation that was made at the last Farmington Regional Chamber of Commerce meeting. Somebody from your department came in and showed some videos, and the presentation dealt with what should you do if you're pulled over by the police and how you should respond. But he showed a couple of videos, one dealing with a policeman who had somebody pulled over and his car was hit by another car that was coming in at like 130 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And then there were some ambush shootings where you pulled somebody over and the guy just turned around and started shooting at the policeman. Tell us about what you do to train your guys and ladies to be safe and avoid those situations if possible.
Yeah. So after they come out of the academy, like we just recently hired 5 people and put them on the road. They're not on the road yet, of course. We have a 12-week training program. It's an FTO program, Field Training Officer program. So when they come out of the academy, they get a lot of stuff in the academy. You don't get the real on-road experience in the academy that you get. I mean, you're going to have a scenario in the academy, who's going to win this time, who's going to lose. They already know who's going to win, who's going to lose. And in a real life experience, walking up to a car is totally different than the guy that's in the car that's being the bad guy. It's totally different out on the road, walking up to a car where you don't know who's in the car, how many people are in the car, what's in the car. So in our field training program, they kind of, when they first start the program, they go to the passenger seat and they're with a seasoned, trained officer who's an FTO. And he observes that person for a couple of weeks. And it's a gradual transition. So that person that's in the passenger seat of the car gradually transitions over into the driver's seat of that car as he progresses through the program. And he becomes the person. And in the very end, in the final phase of the FTO program, that person is then taking all the calls, doing everything on a call, making all the traffic stops. And the person on the right side and the passenger side is now observing and doing nothing but sitting back and observing. So you learn a lot more when you come to work for us because you have that 12-week program. It's a very good program. It's very informative. I don't see how we could exist without it. When I came to work in 1985 in law enforcement, I was given a gun. I was given a badge. I rode around for like a week with another police officer. And they said, "See ya." So I would have loved to have had something like that because I was scared. I was nervous when I first started. I mean, anybody that tells you otherwise is probably lying to you. I was really scared and nervous on my first traffic stop, my first call to a house. So our FTO program, our 12-week program, is a great program, and it teaches them things that they'll never, ever learn. You can't teach stuff in the academy that they see during that 12-week program.
And I will tell you, anybody who hasn't seen that presentation ought to, because it's an eye-opener of the risks you all face every day.
Yeah.
Do you feel like in your job now, you mentioned, back when you were hired, minimal training, like, hey, you're good to go. Now, obviously, there's more training and less applicants to choose from. Do you feel like your job, one of the priorities now is almost like becoming a recruiter for your department?
Yes. So I took over January. I'm at my year and 7-month mark. Mm-hmm. So for the first 12 to 13 months of my career as a chief, after Chief Baker left, I spent that first 12 months, 13 months hiring, promoting, and letting people go. Finding people to work. Demand is high. Supply is very low. Nobody wants to be a police officer anymore. It's probably not the money issue. It's just, I will say this, that since Michael Brown, George Floyd, the police officers have been villainized. We've been turned into villains. One bad apple does not make the whole basket bad. There are bad police officers. I will say that. I've seen them over the years. There are bad teachers. There's bad preachers. There's bad in everything. Yeah. But that one person or the one or two people doesn't make the entire country bad. Doesn't make everybody bad. And getting people to understand that. But we were just made into monsters for a while. And it's slowly starting to creep back up, it seems like.
Well, my final question then is, there's crime in Farmington. There's crime everywhere. There's been shootings and other crimes like that. How do you balance out as chief of police, because part of your job's also PR, I would imagine.
Yeah.
How do you balance out letting folks and reassuring them that Farmington, that this area is a safe place to live, with the fact of you got to be careful at the same time?
It is, and I'll put it this way. I have a police car parked in front of my house. I've had a police car parked in front of my house for almost 40 years, I guess you could say, because I've been in at least that long. I still lock the doors in my police car. I still lock the door on my personal cars. I lock the doors in my house. My house does not sit open. My garage door doesn't stay open very often. There is crime. There's crime everywhere, just like there's drugs everywhere. Drugs, that's a war you're never going to win, but if you don't fight it, just imagine what it'd be like if you didn't fight it. So there is crime in the city of Farmington. We do our very best, and if you have a problem, or if there's a question you need answered, or if you need help at your house, scams are a big thing. Anything you need, feel free to call the police department. And if you just need to call down and ask questions, I'm usually in my office most of the day. Captain Lacey's usually there most of the day. Somebody will be there to answer your question.
Very good. Chief, appreciate your time, and thanks for keeping us safe.
Yeah, keep up the great work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, that's Farmington Chief of Police Chris Bullock joining us here on the Parkland Podcast. Mark, let's talk about Parkland Pharmacy now. Local pharmacy at its finest there in Deloge, Farmington, Fredericktown, Ironton, Piedmont, and Greenville. And, I mean, they have it down to a fine science when it comes to customer service and taking care of their customers.
And we call them customers, but really they're friends, they're family. And I know that firsthand, because if I ever have a question or a concern, I know Julie Berghaus at the Farmington location always is there for me. And boy, that's the kind of personal service. Until I got a little bit older, I didn't really know a lot about pharmacies, because I never really had to use one, because I never got sick. But now in the last couple of years, I've had a few things pop up, and it's nice to have somebody like Julie Berghaus in your corner that can answer questions and get you steered in the right direction.
Customer service always a top priority, and if something isn't right, just let them know, and they will take care of it. Parkland Pharmacy, local pharmacy at its finest in Deloge, Farmington, Fredericktown, Ironton, Piedmont, and Greenville. Back on the Parkland Podcast, it's time to talk about Big River Chautauqua. And 2024's show features the 80th anniversary of D-Day and some personal stories from these historic reenactors. Joining us here at the barn, we have Paul Williams. Paul has been involved with Big River Chautauqua, I believe, since its inception, right?
Yes. Good morning. Been there since 1995. That was our first year. And we have a committee of 20-so people, and they sent me here this morning because I think I'm the oldest.
Our elder will speak on our behalf.
Yes, I'm the elder.
Do you still get people who ask you, what is a Chautauqua?
All the time. And basically, the Chautauqua is an Indian word meaning coming together. And in the old days, back in the 1920s and 30s in the United States, it was a place where people historical people would go around to the small towns, pitch a tent, and tell the people about what was going on. It might be Williams Jennings Bryan talking about his political platform, but it was a time before, obviously before television, radio, that type of thing, and it was a way to inform rural America of what was going on in America. And then over the years, back in the 90s, the 80s and the 90s, and my generation, many of the states decided that this would be a good retro thing to do, and they resurrected the Chautauqua with, still you have to have the older characters. The rule of thumb on Chautauqua is the character that you have has to be deceased, and they you hire a character, usually it's a historian or a teacher, and they come and immerse themselves in that character and give you an hour's worth of living history.
Let's go back to 1995 when this event first came to fruition. And I guess it all kind of started with a press release sent to somebody's desk at the Daily Journal.
Yes, interesting story. In 1995, Missouri was one of those states that decided to resurrect the old-fashioned Chautauqua, and the Missouri Humanities Council sent out a flyer to, I have no idea, a press release, so I'm sure it went to all the newspapers and stuff to be published, and it came across the desk of Joe Layden and Sherry Grimminger, working at the Daily Journal, and the premise was, we want to resurrect this old-fashioned Chautauqua. Here's our characters. If a local community will raise X number of dollars, we'll come and put up our tent, have these characters. All you have to do is provide some money for us and a crowd. Each of those evenings, at the time it was 5 characters. And Joe took a look at that flyer and handed it to Sherry Grimminger and said, I think we can do this. And the rest is history. Now, interesting enough, that first year, we had to raise some money, but they brought, the Missouri Humanities Council brought their own tent, but we had to provide up to 50 volunteers to help put up that tent. And that was a, let's just say that was an experience.
Team building exercise.
Yes, it was.
So Chautauqua is coming up this Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Dwight Eisenhower, Jackie Cochran, Winston Churchill will be appearing, and we'll talk more about that in just a second. But my question is, do you have choices in who comes to Chautauqua, or are they chosen for you? How does that work?
No. Ever since that first year with the Missouri Humanities Council, we have been on our own. And we are a privately funded, we're totally dependent upon our local sponsors, individuals, and businesses to provide that support for us. And we sit down, and usually in October, after the Chautauqua is over, we sit down in October and we just throw out ideas. What would be a great theme for next year? And we come up with a list of 5 or 6 what appear to be very good themes, and then you try to say, okay, if you have a theme of XYZ, what would be some good characters that would have something to do with that theme? And then the interesting thing is, okay, we pick 3 or 4 characters, then you try to find people that play those characters. And it's not as if you call on somebody and they play 25 different characters. They have a range of 4 or 5 characters, and this particular year it happens to be the 80th anniversary of D-Day, so we thought we would base it around that theme, although it's not all about D-Day. It's people that have something to do with D-Day, but they had things prior in their lives, and they had things after D-Day that they are famous for, or that they did that people would recognize their accomplishments. So D-Day was just picked because it was the 80th anniversary. As you skim down through the different things we have had a wide range of different themes and ideas and characters, and the whole idea is to put together some people that Yes, most of them you've heard of. Everybody knows Dwight Eisenhower. You'll you'll learn a few things about Dwight Eisenhower you maybe didn't learn. But we also try to pick a character, for example, Jackie Cochran, that maybe nobody really has heard of before or knows much about. But trust me, after spending an hour with Jackie Cochran on the stage, you'll know a lot about her, and you'll say, wow. I didn't realize that. That's quite an accomplishment there. So the idea is to boast it's history, but it's also education.
2024 Big River Chautauqua happens July 25th, 26th, and 27th. And this is inside, no longer under the tent, correct? Everything happening in the Bonne Terre City Auditorium?
Yeah, starting in 1995 and up till the year before, we've always pitched a tent on the ball field behind City Hall. We've been subject to the weather.
Yeah.
Whether it be a rainstorm or whether it be 105 degrees.
Right.
Last year, our group decided, sitting 100 yards from us is a air-conditioned auditorium in the city of Bonne Terre City Hall. Why don't we try that and see how that works? And the answer is it works great. The weather, which was getting to be a burden for people coming and going, they didn't want to come because it was, 100 degrees outside. Could have been a big rainstorm, thunder and lightning, and this is taking care of all that. Much less the group that we are in, our group of 20, we have much less setup time. We don't have to wrestle with a stage, with the chairs, with a tent, with any of those things that we had to worry about before. We're extremely grateful for the city of Bonne Terre for the use of the auditorium and the use of their equipment, and it's worked out very well for everybody.
And Paul, you're inviting everybody to come out early and come hungry.
Oh, yes. Well, one of the great things about Chautauqua, we started out in 1995, our group did a barbecue. And over the years, that morphed into different organizations, Rotary clubs, et cetera, would barbecue for us on site. Starting last year, we've partnered with the Bonne Terre Nutrition Center, which is right next door to the City Hall, and they provide a excellent wide variety of meals at a very reasonable cost. So we invite people to come out at 4:30. Partake of the food, enjoy the pre-show entertainment that we have at that venue at Nutrition Center, then go out the door, walk next door to the auditorium and enjoy the Chautauqua Singers, and then at 7 o'clock the program.
Have you ever had anybody locally try their hand at historical reenacting?
We have, and
gotta go back and look at the notes here.
I have to look back at my notes. In 2014,
okay,
our theme was Big River at War. It was during the Civil War, and we had a local fellow, a Bonne Terre fellow, play Sam Hildebrand. And not only was it brought out the largest crowd we have ever had. We had 400 plus to that, and I believe the reason number one, he was a local guy.
Right.
But number two, if you are a local person, including myself, you've always heard of Sam Hildebrand. You've always heard the name, but you really didn't know a whole lot about Sam Hildebrand. And I left that evening knowing a whole lot about Sam Hildebrand, the good and the bad. I'm not saying he would, everything came up roses with Sam Hildebrand, but I learned an awful lot about him, and that's what Chautauqua was all about. You go and you learn something. It's very educational.
You can find out more at BigRiverChautauqua.com. We want to give you a couple of seconds here to thank your major sponsors on the podcast, because you can't do it without sponsors.
Yeah, absolutely. When you get a program that night, on the back page, you'll see our sponsors. We have super sponsors, some people that have been with us the whole time, which is the First State Community Bank. They've been there since 1995. We also want to give a tremendous shout out to the city of Bonne Terre for the use of their facility, air-conditioned, I might point out.
Yes.
And the family of Joe and Marietta Layden, who have been one of the sponsors. And then as you read down through, I won't read the whole list, but we have 20 to 30 individuals and companies in the area that have always been a sponsor to us. And as I said, as I don't think I did mention, we like to think of ourselves as the only privately funded Chautauqua west of the Mississippi River. We're not dependent upon any Missouri Humanities Council funds or the state of Missouri. We're all privately, locally funded.
Somebody's watching this interview, and they're probably too late to help out financially this year, but they want to make sure that they are in the plans for next year, or maybe they want to volunteer. How do they get in touch with you?
Yes, in the program, it's got my phone number, but I'm very reachable. Paul Williams. I'm at P.O. Box 105 in Bonne Terre. We also have a Facebook page, Big River Chautauqua. We have a website. It has all that information on there. I encourage everybody to look at that. It has all the information that you need, including the times for this coming week and who's going to be the characters, and it has all that information.
And finally, this is in Bonne Terre, but you don't have to be from Bonne Terre to be a part of it.
No, a lot of people. We have people from all over this area, and we have people that, frankly, are from quite a bit out of town, and this is their vacation time. They come to visit family at Chautauqua time so that they can take in the Big River Chautauqua.
Very good.
That's great. And it's all happening July 25th, 26th, and 27th, bringing history to life. It's the 2024 Big River Chautauqua. Thursday night features Dwight Eisenhower, Friday Jackie Cochran, Saturday Winston Churchill. Again, 4:30 each evening. The Bonne Terre Senior Center will be selling dinner before the event. Entertainment starts at 6. The program is at 7 o'clock. And again, it's all in the climately controlled Bonne Terre Auditorium there at Bonne Terre City Hall. Paul, do we miss anything that we need to get out there?
I think you've covered everything, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you this morning.
Thank you.
Fantastic. That's Paul Williams, Big River Chautauqua 2024, joining us now on the Parkland Podcast. Hey, we welcome in Save-A-Lots of the Parkland as a sponsor of the Parkland Podcast, and these are the locations in Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Park Hills, and Farmington. Save-A-Lot is a great place to shop, and I think what really sets them apart is the fact they have butchers in every store, so that meat you're purchasing has been packaged, has been butchered, if you will, right there on location.
And they'll cut to order for you.
Oh, yeah,
too,
absolutely.
as a matter of fact. And one thing I've heard probably more than anyone else is they say, where's the best meat in town? I get Save-A-Lot as the answer all the time.
And now the 5 for $24.99 deal is bigger and better, giving you more options and bigger portions to feed that hungry family. Save-A-Lots in Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Park Hills, and Farmington, a proud community member and a proud sponsor of the Parkland Podcast.
Thanks, Clint. We appreciate doing business with you.
Farmington, Missouri, your destination for a perfect weekend getaway. Dine in at one of our quality restaurants or visit one of our surrounding wineries. Farmington offers a variety of parks and other recreational leisure time activities. See some sights, have some fun, and go wherever your heart takes you. Sounds like a lot of fun, so get a room and stay a while. All this and more awaits you just 60 miles south of St. Louis. Discover Farmington today.
Let's talk sports now on the Parkland Podcast. We begin with the Cardinals post All-Star break, splitting the first 2 games against the Braves, and still right there in the thick of things in the playoff race. I believe they're still at the number 2 wild card position. They got to make a move, though, I think.
They have to make a move. I'm a little concerned about Sonny Gray. He was cruising along over the weekend, and then all of a sudden, boom, home run. Home run, home run.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand why they kept him in the game so long. You could tell as the season's gone on, he's kind of weakening as the game goes on, but they left him in there, and pretty soon, what a 5-1 lead was 5-4 or something like that. I'm a little concerned about him. Maybe he's got a little arm fatigue.
Maybe so. So hopefully the Cardinals can make a move, add to the pitching depth of this team, and get some fresh arms in here.
But it was a big day, though. On Sunday, they had the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah. How about this class? Really, really good. Adrian Beltre, one of the best third basemen of all time. And, I mean, his numbers were off the charts.
Now, you remember what his main claim to fame, other than the fact that he was a fabulous ball player.
He didn't like people touching his head.
Exactly. If you tried to touch his hair, he almost came to blows with it.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. So congratulations to him. Todd Helton. I know the conversations have been had and will continue about the Coors Field boost to his stats, but still, what a career he had.
He was just a great hitter. He wasn't just a power hitter. Yeah. He could just hit the ball to all fields.
And then, of course, former Twins catcher Joe Mauer spent his entire career with the Twins, and I think as quickly as he has gotten in is going to help Yadier Molina.
Absolutely. I think Mauer won 3 batting titles.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that one.
Sounds about right.
But anyway, yeah, I think the exact same thing. This will be a definite plus for Yadier Molina's chances.
And then Jim Leland going in, and what a great manager he was with the Pirates, the Marlins, I believe is when he got his world title, and a long time was an assistant kind of behind-the-scenes coach during the Tony La Russa era.
He was. He also coached for the Detroit Tigers.
Oh, yeah, the Tigers, yes.
My favorite memory, though, of Jim Leland goes all the way back into the 80s when Barry Bonds was hot-dogging it when he was a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Jim Leland would have none of it.
No.
He got right in his face. I remember seeing this on SportsCenter, and he went jaw to jaw, nose to nose with him, and he pretty much topped Barry Bonds, I think, or two.
He did. So congratulations to that Hall of Fame. You ever been to Cooperstown?
Never. That's on my bucket list.
Absolutely. I would love to check that out, too. Sticking with baseball, a couple of Senior Legion All-Stars are going to play in the Missouri versus Illinois All-Star game at Busch Stadium on Tuesday night. Carson Wook, who is from the St. Genevieve Legion Post, and Luke Weiler from the Rock Memorial Legion Post will both be participating in that game at Busch Stadium. Quick rundown of the high school football schedule for week 1. That will be August 30th. Farmington is at North County that night. Central opens up the season on the road at Owensville to take on the Dutchmen. St. Clair will be at Potosi. Fredericktown's at Perryville. St. Genevieve on the road at St. Vincent. And Monroe City hosting Valley Catholic. That's your week 1 matchups.
I tell you who's really earning their money right now are the athletic directors at the high school, because they already had the schedules put together, but you got to schedule camp times, getting people in and out of the gyms and different things like that, varsity, JV, middle school. They're putting their work in.
They are. That's why that's a full year-round position. Those poor ADs do not get summer off. Okay, let's talk some music now. How about song and album recommendations? What do you have for us today?
My song today is Man on the Moon from REM. It's from the album Automatic for the People. That's a song or an album that sold 18 million copies. They had songs like Drive, The Sidewinders, Sleeps Tonight, Everybody Hurts, Ignoreland, which is just a great, great tune, and Night Swimming. But I really love Man on the Moon, the tribute to Andy Kaufman.
Yeah. How about an album? Show us your album cover.
Right here. Heart, baby. Debut album. Going back to 1976. Magic Man, Dreamboat Annie, Crazy on You. But the pictures on the inside cover of the album of very young Ann and Nancy Wilson Hart, well, it set a young man's heart afire. Let me tell you that.
That was truly
great album, though.
Absolutely. Heart is such an overlooked band, and they're so good. All right, so for songs, I'm going to go with Whole Lotta Rosie, courtesy of AC/DC. And this is one of the last tunes with Bon Scott as the lead singer. It was written in 1977, and they did a live version of it in 1978. And that's the one I like the best. But there is no way that I can drive slowly when this song comes on the radio.
I was going to tell you my favorite AC/DC story. I was on my way to a very nice, very formal Christmas dinner one year. It was like a week before Christmas. I flipped on the radio, and Highway to Hell was playing. And I thought, is this really an appropriate song for the Christmas season? But I jammed out anyway.
Well, looking at the AC/DC library, there were other choices that could have been worse.
Yes.
All right, now for albums. I actually brought some vinyl today, Mark. We finally got the record player cleaned off so I could get into it. And I have Pink Floyd's 6th studio album. It's Metal, and that was released in November of 1971. As far as like songs, this isn't like your quintessential album for Pink Floyd tunes, but very, very cool stuff here. And again, kids, this is how albums used to look like. They have these liner notes. There's pictures inside. We mentioned Dreamboat Annie a while ago. How about David Gilmour in 1971? There you go. Pink Floyd Metal, my album pick of the week.
Dark Side of the Moon from Pink Floyd, a song that stayed on the Billboard charts for like 25 or 30 years.
It's unbelievable.
Without stopping. Unbelievable.
That's a great album, too. Did you ever watch it with the Wizard of Oz?
No, I've never done that. What would you rather listen to, Dark Side of the Moon or The Wall?
Oh, Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, nothing wrong with The Wall. Yeah. Absolutely nothing wrong. And I really love Wish You Were Here, too.
Especially when you're comfortably numb.
Yes. There you go. So those are our cool song recommendations here on the Parkland podcast. Lastly, I want to give away another prize from Parkland Pharmacy. This time we're going with a Warmie. And we're going to do that with our polls that we've been doing. We had the poll for the St. Francis County Sheriff, which Jeff Kreitz had the highest percentage. And by the way, those polls are still on our Facebook page. You can get on there and vote. And then we combined the 116th District and 117th District state representative races. And right now, at record time, it looks like Del Wright is winning the race for 116th. Chad Brown is winning the race for 117th. But those polls are still up there, and you have plenty of chances to vote. Vote early and often, as they say in some states. So one of our voters is going to win that Warmie, and we have selected Ty Elser from Doe Run. Congratulations, Ty. You get a free Warmie courtesy of Parkland Pharmacy.
Way to go, Ty. Thanks for taking part in our polls.
All right. Coming up on our next episode, we will wrap up our coverage of the Deloge Chamber of Commerce Pancakes with the Candidates event, and we'll talk to Mike Henderson and Cindy Buckeye-Courtway, the two people on the Republican ticket running for Missouri State Senator. So that'll be coming up on our next episode. Until then, have a great week, and we'll see you again on Monday.